How blockchain works under the hood. I'm Hasan Mir. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Blockchain Future. So, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Albert Einstein. My goal is to explain you in a plain and easy to understand manner what blockchain is all about, how it works under the hood. After completing this small video, not only you will know what blockchain is, you will be able to explain it to anyone you like. Before we go there, let's understand the problems we face in the current system. So today, if one person is transferring some money to a different country, what does that person has to do? We have to go through an intermediary, a bank. So that is problem one. We are depending on a middle party. Problem two is the fees that will be charged by the middle party for obvious reasons because they have to uh, pay for their expenses. They have to survive, they have to live, so they need money. And problem three is the delay we get when we're transferring money. So these three are the issues we face in this current world. We require a middle party because we can't trust each other. So trust has to be provided by the middle party. There's a cost and the transfer is slow. So these three problems will be solved by the blockchain. Okay, so now uh, this is the paradigm shift actually. The blockchain promises that it can solve these issues without requiring a middle party to exist. This is a revolution and this is going to create disruption. Paradigm shift because in the history of human beings, this has happened first time that a technology is claiming that trust could be provided by a software. Okay, so part of blockchain is big. That means no middle parties will be required. That means revolution, paradigm shift, and disruption. So imagine a world without middle parties, for example, banks. When our kids will grow up, they will see a different world. So that's why it's important for us to understand the blockchain and how it works. The concept of intermediary or middle parties like banks, because strangers cannot trust each other and trust is needed to do the business. Therefore, human beings invented middle parties and we somehow learn to trust those middle parties. If corruption is happening in the middle party, we can't do anything about it. No matter how much we protect it, something could still happen, but we have to trust these parties. So this is one of the problems. And for example, in case of money being transferred from one person to the other, the intermediary will be keeping a ledger. And this ledger will have entries for all the balances and all the transactions that are taking place. And this has to be guarded and protected and, and make hidden by this middle party from the public so that nobody can uh, interfere or insert any false statements in there. So this is a burden on the middle party. Okay, so now let's dive into the waters. How blockchain addresses the three issues we talked about. Three issues, namely, middle parties are required, transfers are costly, transfers are slow. Okay, so three principles are offered by the concept of blockchain. Principle number one, the ledger should be open. Principle number two, ledgers should be distributed, not only open, but also distributed. And ledger number three, not only distributed, but should be kept in sync or synchronized all the time. Okay, so let's look into these three principles one by one, then everything will start making sense. And keep in mind, while we're talking about that, what are the problems that blockchain is trying to resolve? Okay, now, open ledger, what does that mean? So let's say there are uh, some people uh, in the environment and they want to send some money to each other. Traditional way was create a middle party, put the central ledger in there, protect the ledger, make it hidden, secure it, guard it from people. And the blockchain concept is make it open, make it open to public. Anyone can see the transactions. Not only see, anyone can write into it. Okay, so it's totally different way of handling things. For example, we made the ledger open. Now, in this ledger, we have, let's say, for the sake of discussion, starting balances. But the ledger only has transactions. Balances are always derived by reading all the transactions from the beginning of time till the end in the blockchain world. But here is an example. Let's say it has the beginning balances, and then a person A sends $5 to person B. So the entry will go into this ledger, as you can see in the red here. Okay. Now B sends $5 to person D. Another entry is going to be added at the end. So ledger is open. Anybody can see what's in the ledger, and uh, it's not hidden. Now let's say person A is now trying to send $10 to person C. Since the ledger is open, anybody can tell this is an invalid transaction because A does not have this much balance left anymore. Okay, because if we add all these transactions from top to bottom, we know that A has only $5 left. He cannot send $10 to person C. Okay, so each new transaction is added in a chain format, and hence the word chain. We are talking about in a as a simplistic view. So in real life, the it's a chain of blocks, not really chain of transactions. Each block would have multiple transactions in it, but the concept is pretty much same what we are seeing on the screen. So each new transaction would be added to the block, to the existing transaction in chain format. Now, single copy of ledger means it has to be guarded by intermediary. So we back to the same issue. We made the ledger open, but I can insert a wrong transaction in here. For example, you sending me $100, and that's not fair. So what's the big idea here? Okay, so hackers will be happy. It's going to be heaven for hackers. We have a ledger which is open, and let's go insert something in there. All right. So this brings us to principle number 2, distributed ledger. Distributed ledger means that we are not keeping one copy. We are keeping multiple copies. There will be people who will be willing to maintain those copies. Those are called miners. Okay. So the point is there is no intermediary. There is no central body. The copy of ledgers are maintained at different places. Okay, so this is again a big change in the way of our thinking. Those people who are willing to maintain copies are called miners. They're doing it for a reason. I'm going to explain you in a bit. They're getting money for it. Okay, there's an incentive for them to doing it. So system is going to work. It has a check and balance. It's going to work itself out because miners are getting paid to mine, and they're providing a useful service. They are working as a bank. No central body is needed, and there is no single copy of the ledger maintained. It's maintained all over the place. Now look at from hacker's point of view. In order for hacker to insert a false statement into the ledger, he has to hack all the copies. Okay, in reality, it's we're going to talk later. You can take my detail other videos in which I'm talking in detail about blockchain. He has to hack 50% of the machines used by miners, but it's not possible. There are thousands and thousands of miners out there, so he has to have more money to hack than he'll be gaining by hacking. Great. So we resolved the issue that came up by principle number 1. So principle 1 was open up the ledger. So it created an issue. If we are opening up the ledger, anybody can start anything. Then we said, okay, let's make the ledger distributed. So that's resolved issue 1. Now nobody can insert anything, even though it's still open, but they have multiple copies. But now there's another issue that has to be resolved. So the technology had reached thus far even before in time, but it's only in 2008 the creator of the Bitcoin slash blockchain, Satoshi Nakamoto, he presented white papers, and he even provided the solution to this problem number three, and this was the real power of his invention. So he said, we can resolve this issue. The issue is, if we have multiple copies, how do you keep all those copies in sync? Okay, so this is a problem, and this brings us to principle number three: keeping the ledgers in sync. And this was one of the best part of the solution provided by Satoshi Nakamoto in his white papers for Bitcoin. Okay, so miners are maintaining one copy each at their end for of this open ledger. Okay, there could be thousands of miners. The problem is how to keep the copies in sync. The solution he provided is let miners compete to attach new transaction that took place to the chain. So this was interesting. He said the new transaction that just took place will not be attached by all the miners to their copies. Instead, only one person would be able to attach that transaction to his copy, and he would be the winner. Okay, so miners will come to do that. So these will be the steps. Step one: whoever is making a transfer will announce his intention first. I want to send $5 to person D. I'm at person B. Okay, so these intentions would then be announced to the miners. Miners will do two things. One, they will validate the transaction, and it's easy to validate because ledgers are open. They can find out if the balance is enough there or not. B is sending $5 to D, so they can all the miners can take a look at the ledgers to verify if B really has $5 left or not. Remember, the ledger does not have balances in it as such. It has all the running transactions, so they have to read the ledger from top to bottom. So that is step one. Step two, they have to find the key. Okay, so this is the key here. They have to find the key. Okay, so once validations are done, they have to find the digital key. Okay, and this is where the magic is. When transaction is added to the chain, a key is needed. It can't just be added without the key. Only the key will attach that transaction to the existing chain. Okay, so uh, how would they find the key? They will use computational resources to find the digital key. Digital key is a large number. There's no formula to find it. It's a trial and error. You go in sequential. Try one number, it doesn't work. Try the next, it doesn't work. It's a big, large number. Only one number or the key will attach that transaction to the chain. So just to give you a little context here, in Bitcoin world, it takes 10 minutes. It's so complex. The complexity is so high. It takes 10 minutes for all the miners, thousands of computers they're using or hardware they're using. All of them together takes 10 minutes roughly to find a key to attach one block to the existing chain. And we talk in terms of block in reality here. We're trying to understand it, so we're talking in terms of transaction. Block could have multiple transactions in it. Okay, so it's set in such a way, the complexity, that it takes uh, X number of time for all these miners to find the key. So the winner will attach the transaction to the chain and announce the key to all the other miners. And he who has found the key will receive the financial reward. And this is the incentive for the miners to do all this business, because they are getting financial reward. In Bitcoin, well, financial reward is the Bitcoin itself. 12.5 Bitcoins are released every 10 minutes. And they used to be 25. In the first mining 2009, which was done by the founder, 50 bitcoins were released at that time, then 25, now 12.5. So they kind of have half life. But the point here is incentive is given to the miners. When they win, they get the reward. Okay, so other miners will update their copies and they will try to win the next round. So this is how all the ledgers will be in sync. One person will win. He will announce the key, and everybody else will attach um, the transaction which they were trying to attach but couldn't find the key. Now they have the key, they will attach it. So two questions pop up in my mind. Number one, why this big deal? Why making everybody find the key? One person finds the key and he announces. Second, why everybody else has to attach? What is the incentive for everybody else to attach that transaction to their copies? I know it has to be attached, otherwise copies will not be in sync. But what is their incentive to do that? Why can't they just go to the next round and try to win it? The winner has already attached because he got the financial reward. Right. So a few things pop up in my mind. So here those are. What if a node announces a wrong key just to win? What would be the catch for that? Okay. So the catch for that would be other miners will not be able to attach the transaction once you announce a false key. Other others won't be able to attach because that's the only key that will let the transaction get attached to the chain. If you announce the wrong key, nobody else would be able to attach it, and you'll be flagged as the wrong node, and people will ignore you. That uh, other question I talked about was why do remaining nodes have to add that racket? Because they can't compete in the coming rounds if the ledger is not complete. They won't be able to attach new transactions to their existing ledger unless it's already completed. So there is a whole formula thing in this cryptography world. The ledger has to be completed, otherwise it's not going to work. So there's a check and balance in the system, and that's the beauty of this blockchain. Uh, Now, again, why this whole big deal? Why blockchain is making everybody compete? This is the idea behind it, to create randomization, and randomization ensures that no one can establish monopoly. No one person or small group of people will keep on winning all the time. Winners will be equally distributed among the whole network. Everybody has an equal chance of winning. Uh, all the hardware have equal chance of winning. Okay, per CPU resources they're putting to use. So obviously, if I have 100 computers here and you have only one, then I have more chance. But it's not about that I am having. I'll be able to control this whole miner's world. Okay, uh, this question does come in my pop up in my mind though. There are few companies now who are uh, establishing big data centers. Yeah, and it's maybe I don't know the full numbers, but it could go uh, towards the path where the power is kind of coming into the hands of few big corporations. But anyway, just on a side note, but to understand the concept, the randomization is creating this the mechanism where everybody is getting a fair chance to win. Otherwise, it's not possible without this solution before. The first time I heard about Bitcoin and blockchain was in 2012. The person who told me, I literally laughed at the concept, internet money. Little did I know what's the technology behind it. But when I looked at the technology, blockchain, that was mind blowing. And at that time, I realized I should have taken it seriously. But anyway, I'm not the only person who has gone through this experience. So I'm doing a survey. I'd like to I need your help. If you can, in the comment section, share briefly your experience. When did you hear about blockchain and Bitcoin first time around, and how did you take it? I'll appreciate it. Uh, Thank you for spending your time in checking out my video. I hope that you learned the concept of blockchain at a high level, and there are some other videos I'm putting for a detailed uh, insight on this technology. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.